Hi everybody, I'm Jacey Wyatt and we are here at our BCTV studios with the famous brick wall. I'm going to introduce you to a new show that I'm creating here for us in Branford. It's called Visit Branford. I'm going to be bringing the cameras out to the public, bringing you to see things all around Branford, and hopefully we bring more people and you to come and visit Branford. One of the things that I wanted to do here at BCTV is to change the way we're going to film this. So what I did is get rid of the brick wall. I'm going to introduce you to my new sets as much as I would love for you to be part of it. Remember, the brick wall at BCTV, welcome to the new Visit Branford studios. And this is one of our new sets, the Branford Green. On the Branford Green in the spring is one of the most special times here when the Branford celery pear trees come in bloom. It just changes the whole atmosphere of Branford and it makes us all can't wait to get back outside in the spring. Great things happen on the Branford Green, and it's always great to have fun here in Branford. And here at Visit Branford, we're going to introduce you to so many things that are going to make you want to come and visit Branford. Let me introduce you to more things here that we're going to share with you on our Visit Branford program. There's so much to do here in Branford, and one thing that I want to share with you is something that I love to do, is golf. One thing that you must know, I talk about golf, I love golf, and I absolutely am a player of golf. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information on one of the things that I've been working on here in Branford. We're going to visit golf courses down the road, but I want to show you about what I came up with that might be possible for one of the projects here in town. It's called Indian Dunes. Indian Dunes is going to be a public golf course, 18 holes, and it's going to be up to the public to get their voice in if that's the thing they would love to bring to Branford. I'm going to introduce you more in a presentation. I hope you enjoy it. This is the Indian Dunes presentation. It is a proposed 18-hole public golf course that I've designed to put information into you for what we call the Tabor property here in Branford. The presentation is going to be lengthy. It has a lot of information and details that I hope you enjoy. The first slide is called Meet the Neighborhood. In the Meet the Neighborhood, I want to show you a little bit more about what's going on down there. A lot of people have questions about, like, I thought it was only this amount of acreage. There actually is a lot more land that is utilized down there for the golf course plan that I am proposing. It's not just the 72 acres that we know as the Tabor property. So if you look on this chart, one thing you should look at is actually the big green square with the lake in the middle. That is the Tabor property that we have currently. Most of the questions and ideas that everybody wants to put something down there from previous administrations. Again, for my presentation, that piece of land is absolutely beautiful for a golf course. It actually has a lot of the streams, the rolling hills. It'll have a lot of that open space charm that we'll need, and also a lot of the natural forest trees that have grown on this property is absolutely great. We wouldn't be changing any of the trails or any of the type of forms that are physically there from nature. One of the best things about golf course design is utilizing what is there. So this isn't going to be just bulldozed. It's not going to be just cut down the trees. The best thing about golf is making it as naturally realistic as it is. And this property is screaming for that great point of being able to turn it into a golf course. So again, the big piece of property in the middle is 77 acres. It's town owned and it's known as the Tabor property. That's the one in the center with the lake. On the lower part in yellow, which will be also part of the actual golf course, is the town landfill, the actual landfill that's closed and capped. It is about 38 acres. That's the yellow part on the lower southern side of Tabor Drive. To the right of that actually is another piece of town land that is owned, and it's about 17.65 acres that you'll see in another green area. And then one of the most great, and actually the bonus of being able to design a golf course is actually seeing some of the preservation of what is already here. And the land trust land that is in those locations is absolutely a bonus. The land trust land, they have a lower part down on the southern side of the project, which some of the other holes will be located on the other side of the landfill location that was just described a few seconds ago. The land trust has a good piece in the center that we see in that light green. And then they have a small little piece up to the right-hand side at 2.7 acres, down where more of the actual development options are. Some already owners in Branford, which you'll see one of the locations right there in brown, is 14 acres. That already could be another little couple homes or another development down in that area to the right-hand side. There is a smaller little light cream color on the right-hand near where Hotchkiss Grove Road is. A little orientation. You'll have the railroad tracks again from the top. You'll see that line that goes all the way across from the left to right of the top of the property. That's Amtrak and the Shoreline East that goes by this property every day. Over on the right hand, you'll see the bridge over the railroad terminal tracks. That is the Pine Orchard Road. So Pine Orchard Road does connect into Tabor up there on that intersection. But if you go down Hotchkiss Grove Road, there is a few properties that actually might become a great right-of-way to have another entrance into Tabor property and the other whole grand scheme of the golf course. Because if we can get even Stony Creek, southern part of Indian Neck, Hotchkiss Grove, all of those other areas like Pine Orchard can actually access from the eastern side without going all the way up to Pine Orchard Road. I'll describe that more and how bonus that is to be able to bring in another entrance into the property. One of the other things, if you go down back to the landfill zone, there's other lands that are actually owned by private owners here, and you'll see them in the light brown and the pink colors down to the lower center left to the side here. The lands that could actually be purchased to even make more golf holes. So like I said, from this point of view, this property just has great neighborhood structure bones. We do have residents in the area that will bonus from having a golf course. That presence, that image, the lifestyle that comes with it will help increase property values. We'll keep the taxes low for them, but we'll be able to get their option to have a better house, to have a better choice of somebody might want to sell it and somebody might want to build a more expensive home over there that you never would have suspected back in the day. One other piece too is the purple. Actually, some people ask me what the purple is. The purple is actually industrial right now. There's a couple other businesses that are located up there. That actually is great for possible future expansion of the country club, part of the senior center that I'm proposing for this site too. And that could also expand down the road. There's a great little piece of natural forest up in that area too, along the railroad tracks that can actually expand one of the whole pars. So we could actually make it longer. So we could physically increase a little bit even down the road to make this project even grow, get a little better, grow in time. We're not saying destroy anything in this project. As I said, describing anything that's naturalistically put here should also be part of the design of the holes. So this is the Meet the Neighborhood. Just want to give you a little bit of introduction to that slide. Let's move on to the next one. And this is a photograph of a tour that we went on here during the winter time. A bunch of us went on the Green Trail to walk around and see the property. This is actually the Branford landfill. This is where for years and years we've created an incredible mountain. The views from the top of this, which I'll show you next, is going to show you why some of the viewscapes from here and how this actual landfill can actually become a park. Since it's just such an incredible man-made location that we've created here. And again, this is one of the views on it. So this is another slide of us all during the winter walking up the hill. It's quite a challenge to get up here, but actually it's all lightly sand road, and you could actually walk up here. It's just this with the snow, it's a little more treacherous. But this is the climb up this mountain piece. I'm going to assume it's about 150 feet in the air on the top of the point. When you get to the top here, this is like one of the views. In the center of the picture is looking almost to downtown Branford. That is the old Atlantic Wire building that you're seeing, the factory in the middle. To the left of it, the town Blackstone Library pops out of here like unbelievable out of the mountainscape. And the hills and the rolling hills that you'll see even way off on the left-hand side there, that is Lake Salt and Salt. Those are the tree lines that we'll see. The right-hand side, I'll give you another view in a second. You're seeing the steeple of Congregational Church. Here's a better view of the actual downtown. You could see from the right side steeple is the actual Trinity. town hall. Then you'll see the Congregational over there between the middle section there, the pine trees. And also you see the library. So it's a great scape to see. This is from the top of the actual landfill. On the top facing southern side, which you'll see in the presentation later, which I and many others have proposed of possibly making a park out of the landfill, you'll see why this piece down here is really more important to the actual design of the park, is that southern slope of Long Island Sound. If you see real distant, you could see all that water, and also just an unbelievable view. On the next slide, this is another piece of Long Island Sound facing towards Indian Neck Zone. You would be able to see some of Long Island really off in that distance, but one of the best things about Branford is that we have one of the longest spans between Branford and Long Island. And that point is, I think it was last night, I think about 18 miles, something in that zone right there. So we have one of the longest spans of actual waterfront than any other town in the state of Connecticut. The next slide is a great one. This one actually is a Faulkner's Island, and also still on top of the landfill here, looking towards Stony Creek. You're actually looking at the islands. The center island you're looking at with all those structures, that's Money Island. You'll see West Crib. It always stands out with that one specific tree that stands in between the two structures. And it goes into East Crib and then some of the others. So that's the Bay of Stony Creek that you're seeing there. But way off in the distance with the lighthouse, that's Faulkner's Island. That is part of Guilford. Great view. This is actually looking down at the actual site where that proposed public works once was, or hopefully doesn't go, but that is the span right there looking directly at it. That cell tower is over on Pine Orchard Road, and there's an Amtrak train going through that background in that photograph. You'll see in the Northeast Regional Amtrak blowing through the actual background, which is great to see Amtrak going through. Greatest thing in the back, look at the mountainscapes. We have incredible hills here in Branford, and when you go up, you start seeing that incredible view. So the Indian Dunes Golf Course. Many people ask me about where it came from and what's it about. And one thing that I always think is important is talking about a project and building a development of this size is to make sure we know about our history, where we came from. The best thing about why I came up with Indian Dunes Golf Course is going back to our history of the Mattabesics. They are our native Indians. They created basically where we're starting from in our history for us here. And when I looked upon what they had and how it became part of our colonialist level, I looked into that history. So the Indian Dunes Golf Course is based upon the Indians, the native Indians. And the area that we are describing here are the dunes that they used to look at the downtown Branford when the colonials came and created the development downtown in their own village. They actually built a fence around downtown Branford, which was only 2 roads at the time, Town Street and Pig Lane. The actual meeting houses, and they used to farm, tobacco, and then basically the history of what happened down in Jamestown, Virginia is also part of the structuring of how the colonials settled here in Branford. During that time when they settled, though, our founder, William Swain, who actually created our settlement here in 1638, even though we will be settled in 1644, him and many of the 40 settlers that came down, they actually, like I said, after they worked with the Indians, but they actually created their own village, they decided to physically put a fence up and keeping them out. And so the Indians were told they only could stay in Indian Neck. So Indian Neck became their name. And this is called Indian Dunes. This is where the dunes and where the Indians used to watch the colonialists, where they used to once play. This is hole 3. On hole 3 in Indian Dunes Golf Course, we would be looking upon some of the greatest parts, which is our trees. We have incredible treescape down there. So this hole would be designed around physically and making sure that the trees do stay part of the architecture and making more of the challenge for the hole. In hole number 17 is working around. This would be looking towards the west, and Amtrak would be to your right on that side of hole 17. You'll see the bunkers. You'll see part of the actual curving of the land, but keeping the trees, keeping that landscape architecture that we have down there physically around, which today we call Chet's Pond. This pond is absolutely an incredible piece that should be part of the architecture of the actual golf hole and golf course. On hole number 12, this is another part of the property that actually has trees, and again, we use that in part of the landscape. You'll see the little streams and water that we have out there, all the little brooks and and all of the little waterways. There's also part of the great keeping as it was. And this is hole number 13. Again, like I said, it's an incredible vision to see drawings of actual holescapes. Again, the bunkers, and another one, the pathways with the carts to the right. So Indian Dunes, this is one of the fun things about designing a golf course, is making the challenge and making it more why you want to have to play here. Not only just being a public golf course would be our first public golf course here in Branford, but hole 18 is our most challenging. And what we are building in basically an island. So off the part of the lake, which we are utilizing for this, would be able to shoot from 2 different holes actually. Physically around the actual lake, but this one will actually, you'll be able to shoot over the lake, and you have to try to get your golf ball on the center of the island. In this presentation, you'll be able to get, and if anybody wishes to get a copy of it, this is a brochure that I've created. It is it's actually folded on back to back, but actually this 11 by 17 brochure will show you more about the project, give you some more drawings, give you more information. And one of the things that is important is to get people some idea what I'm trying to get out there and create. As I always say, this is not my project, this is an our project. We want the public involved. And if this does come to fruition, I would love the town people and neighborhood people to be part of the actual designing of each of the entire 18 holes and being part of each and every piece of the project all the way through. It would be absolutely transparent and out there and let people be involved. And one thing too, on this great image that I want to show you here, you'll see some of my core where I want this was about the Indians. So we have some sculptures of Indian heads in some of that types of past history carved into woods that you see down in the lower left hand side here. And again, in the buildings here you're seeing is the senior center, which I'm proposing, and also the golf club, the Indian Dunes Golf Club. That's in the upper right hand side there, on the back side of the cover here. And again, these are some of the drawings. You see some of the highlights of what we're trying to create. And if you do look on the bottom right hand side on this around the pond, is some of the basically natural forming is to use the wood form, and that would be some of the retaining walls that you're seeing in the actual golf course. On the next point that we'll go inside is the inner core of the presentation. This is what Tabor looks like today. And one of the things about this beauty of this project is its incredible greenness, and especially during the summertime. If it's a winter, it's a lot more barren. But is some, obviously you could see inside here, some already pre-work done on possibly where the public works could have gone. Two, you see some other dumping, I guess, storage of fill in early areas. You see the dump will be on the lower left-hand side right there, right in the center on the lower bottom. All of that trees that you're seeing basically to the right are not at all hurt or carved, or we're not even cutting them. That's all part of the preservation of this actual entire project. Again, the parts that we're carving into, other than Tabor, which is that big triangular top along with the lake up on the upper top near the actual railroad. But the trees down on the right hand side, that is not going to be touched. Those are preserved. It's part of, some of it is land trust, but some of it is also preserved in part of the landscaping and design of this golf course. And one thing, as many people know, I'm one of the most environmental people you'll ever meet. And I absolutely want to make sure if any of the trees do need to be touched, moved, or in any sort of form, they would be moved. They will not be cut. One thing you do see in here is that trail that you're seeing. That actually is not the green trail. The greenway, shoreline greenway trail, actually goes closer up to the pond area and then cuts over through Pine Orchard Road to the right. That's I guess in the secondary trail that goes back into Tabor Drive from the shoreline trail. The other thing that's highlighted here is you'll see on that the landfills on the bottom is to the left-hand side. Again, that's some of that is privately owned, but that can possibly be purchased, and that would be also great for some of the actual the last points of the other parts of the holes down on the lower southern side of the course. Where you see up again on the left-hand side over where Tabor Church would be, to the right of it, again, is that industrial zone that I told you. Those can be future expansions or things that can be added physically from either town perspective or, again, to the senior center or club that I'll show you next in the next coming slides. So again, that is the Tabor property as you see today. Again, right-hand side is Hotchkiss Grove Road. It runs from top to bottom. Pine Orchard Road, which you'll see at the junction over at the railroad over on the top. The white trailers, that's a private development, a commercial property up on Pine Orchard Road. The left side of that is the marshlands and the water that comes in from the Branford River, Tabor Church, and again, that is the property. So what would it look like with a golf course on it? There you go. This is the Indian Dunes Golf Course, 18-hole public golf course. Inside this presentation, this is going to show you some of how the course is basically north to west to east. Some of the holes do go north to south. They surround around the dump on the lower bottom part. And again, we didn't touch any of the land trust land. That is part of the protection and making sure these holes all fit within the actual scope. One of the best things, like I said before, is making sure that we utilize some of the access points into the property and make sure it's more easy to get to. There is no congestion. No one road is the only way in. In my presentation and this plan that I'm coming up with, there's actually 4. You could enter off Tabor Drive. It'll enter in towards the clubs where that actual fill was in the previous shot. You'll see where the country club, the tennis courts, and all of the types of facilities that we have from the senior center and the parking areas, the meeting spaces, and even if we were doing wedding rentals and all that type, this would be a facility where we physically can provide larger scale events that need to possibly be done on this property to also, again, at the end of the day, make a return on investment on a property that we obviously need to start getting some dollars back from. In the center of the project, one other thing that we added that is to my idea plan is possibly moving the Danny Cosgrove Animal Shelter. You're seeing it right in the center. That is that 10 acres of proposed where the actual public works could have went. I have it right now showing you that project would be there. It would be good to bring them and give them a new building, a bigger space, better dog runs, giving them the dog facility and animal shelters that they really couldn't do. They're obviously outgrowing the areas where they are now currently next to the transfer station. And if we do build public works at the transfer station, like I would possibly propose, this would also be a great place to move them down here too, and part of this whole creating of a neighborhood and a great space. When again, we don't want to lose the bonus of the golf course plan. And if we see around here how the lake is preserved, we do have that hole that the 18 hole where you again will be shooting on the island. And again, the shoreline trail will be still continued through there on the pathways. Again, that's the Indian Dunes Golf Course. One of the best things about it is, again, we have an opportunity to fit, when smaller par, but fit 18 holes. Instead of just looking to possibly make it just nine holes, it can be, but again, if we can physically become an 18 hole, it's better to look at it better now. We could always build 1 9-hole first, build the other 9 another day too, phasing it in. It's a great opportunity to bring back. And again, with this digital imaging, it's amazing that you see this. It looks like it's already there. And again, one of the best things again is to show you what it could look like. Again, my drawing and skills in trying to show you where these greens and how they would fit in that neighborhood, this clearly is letting you understand how this will be. A lot of that green that you're seeing in the previous shot, you'll remember that it wasn't trees, that's actually growth. So it actually isn't like we destroyed a tree lines. The main tree line is to the southern right side that's between Hotchkiss Grove Road and the new road, which talk about for 5 seconds here, is that I connected Indian Dunes Drive. If you go down Tabor to the end of where Marshall is, that road will continue, which today it goes into the landfill. That will continue all the way through the project from the left all the way to right, and then I would again propose it to go out into Hotchkiss Grove Road. There is 2 homes that possibly can be purchased to physically make it a right-of-way. It will then open up the development area to the right that is privately owned already. It will not bring the connection just into Pine Orchard Road. It could be a alternative road. In mine, I'd rather be the Indian Dunes Drive connects over to Hotchkiss Grove Road, which will allow Southern Indian Neck to be able to access this. Hotchkiss Grove, Pine Orchard, Stony Creek, they don't have to come all the way through Pine Orchard Road to get here. They would be able to come up through Hotchkiss Grove and get in this way too. So it'll at least make it less congestive, trying to utilize the property to the maximum amount of ability to make people realize what we can do. One thing that you see on here again is the main golf course is certain areas that I want to highlight. There's 4. One is going to be, I would like you to make sure you realize in the main presentation here, is the landfill. Down at the landfill site, when you zoom in here, you'll see the actual there's 5 holes actually that are down in this area. Then it protects the trees to the right. It keeps them the way they should be for years and years to come. Utilizing the closeness to the tops in there, the area where I just described here in this landfill, this will then preserve this land farther for future, because a lot of this around here is land trust, and which will absolutely be great to keep it preserved and protected, obviously, and it's best to be part of the design. Inside here at the landfill, you'll see the park. Again, if you remember on the presentation before, we walked up that curved road all the way before to the top of the mounds. You saw from the top of this, facing north, which would be up, you would see the downtown Branford, like we showed the library and the mountain landscapes that you see up towards Brushy Plains and all of the hills from Lake Saltonstall that you see from that zone. If you go to the bottom in this park, you'll see, which has also been proposed previously by to the town anyways, we can physically even utilize a circle park on the top of the dump area, the golf carts, or you can use it from walking in any type of other paths that we need. There's a gazebo located in this park that I drone up here. There is a place for people to physically just go relax, think, meditate, enjoy the view of southern Branford from all of that waterfront that you'll see from that zone up there.